Welcome to the Online Digital Marketing Podcast. We'll be discussing marketing strategies, trends, and tips that will help your business succeed in the digital age. Every episode, we'll be interviewing industry professionals and providing valuable insights on how to leverage digital tools for maximum engagement and ROI. Don't forget to subscribe so you can stay up to date on the latest trends in online marketing.
So if you run an online business, chances are you're spending a huge amount of your budget on all the technical stuff. Right?
Oh, absolutely.
Things like, optimizing your SEO, tweaking funnels, always hunting for that next big automated tool. But what if all of that is failing because of one incredibly simple, overlooked factor? What if the problem isn't your tools or your traffic?
What if it's just that your message is confusing?
Exactly.
And that right there is the core struggle we see documented across all our sources. It's what we're calling the cost of confusion.
The cost of confusion.
Yeah. Businesses aren't struggling because they lack resources or the latest tech. They're struggling because their message, it just requires too much mental friction for a potential customer to process. The brain. Yeah. It's designed to conserve energy, so when it hits something ambiguous, it just moves on.
Wait, okay, let's unpack that immediately.
Right.
We're diving into a framework built on a really simple, almost brutal principle.
Which is?
People don't necessarily buy the best product. They buy the one they understand the fastest.
That's it. That's the whole game.
So clarity is the ultimate growth multiplier. And today we're exploring how to bake that clarity into your entire operation.
Exactly. We're looking at how the brain's fundamental operating system, which is basically story, can be used to reduce that friction and just make buying easier.
So what's our mission for this deep dive?
It's really to uncover that fundamental positioning shift you have to make, and then the specific framework that makes sure every piece of your marketing, especially your website, is working like a tireless salesperson for you.
Okay, so let's jump straight into the heart of it there. That shift in positioning. Because by default, it seems most businesses get this completely wrong.
They do. They make themselves the main character.
Right, in their own marketing story.
That is the absolute critical mandate we need to talk about. A brand has to stop casting itself as the hero. You have to position the customer as the hero and the brand as the guide.
And when they don't, that's what you call ego-driven branding.
They fill their websites with all this we-centric language. We are innovative. We have these awards we were founded in. Whenever. The sources call this being a spotlight thief.
A spotlight thief. I love that. But I want to nail down why that's so bad. It's not just, annoying, is it? It's actively pushing buyers away.
It is lethal to conversion.
Lethal.
Yeah. Customers are not online looking for another hero to admire. They're looking for someone to help them solve their problem.
A problem that feels urgent and painful to them right now.
Right. And when you flood your message with your own story, your credentials, you're basically demanding they stop thinking about their problem and focus on you.
And that friction, that delay, that's when they leave.
That's the bounce. Yeah. Precisely. So the goal isn't to look impressive. The goal is to look helpful.
You have to relinquish that hero role no matter how much your ego wants to brag.
You have to. The moment you shift your messaging to be entirely about the customer's desires, their challenges, you instantly become relevant.
Okay, to really make this stick, let's use that mountain guide analogy from the sources. It makes the role so clear.
It's perfect. Think of it this way. Your brand is the seasoned mountain guide, and your customer is the hiker. The hiker is the hero.
And they want to get to the summit. That's their goal.
Exactly, their transformation. Now, your job as the guide is not to climb the mountain for them, and it's not to just talk about how amazing your climbing gear is.
Right.
Your job is to provide the right tools. That's your product. Show them the safest path. That's your plan. And give them confidence with your expertise. You enable the journey, but the hero is the one who gets the victory at the peak.
I see the immediate application. If a guy just talks about how great they are, the hiker doesn't really trust them to navigate the tricky parts.
Not at all.
So once you've accepted this role as the guide, how do you actually win the hero's trust? Because being helpful isn't quite enough. You have to be trusted.
That's the next step. And the guide needs to balance two very specific traits to build that trust: empathy and authority.
Let's start with empathy.
Yeah.
Like that feels like it has to come first, right?
Yeah.
The emotional connection.
Absolutely. Empathy is about showing you understand the customer's internal frustrations, their emotional pain. The framework insists you use an empathy statement really early on.
To build that instant connection.
Yeah. It's basically saying, I see you, I get what you're struggling with.
Can you give us a concrete example, like for a B2B software company selling workflow tools? What's an empathy statement versus just a feature list?
Okay, so a feature statement would be, our software has a drag and drop interface.
Right. Dry.
Very. An empathy statement gets to the internal pain, it might sound like. We know how overwhelming it is trying to track 5 different spreadsheets just to see where a project stands. That feeling of spinning your wheels, it ends here.
So you're naming the feeling,
Yeah.
the overwhelm, the frustration, not just the spreadsheet problem.
You're acknowledging their pain before you offer your solution.
Okay, so once you've shown that empathy, you have to back it up with competence, with authority. How do you do that without sounding like you're stealing the spotlight again? It feels like a fine line.
It is a fine line. Authority is about showing competence without arrogance. It has to be brief and functional. We're talking about using authority signals.
Like what?
Things like powerful but very concise case studies, a quick display of client logos, or even just a simple statistic like, we've helped over 500 teams streamline their workflow. It just shows the hero quickly that you've done this before.
So it's not about impressing them. It's about giving them confidence in you.
That's it, exactly.
Yeah.
Okay, so now that the guide has established trust, the next step is to define the conflict. And this is where the framework gets really deep. It goes way beyond the surface level problem.
Right. This is where we stop selling a product and start selling a transformation.
This step forces you to define the problem on 3 different levels. Most businesses only ever talk about the first one, the external problem.
Which is the surface level thing, like, my website is slow.
Or, I need to file my taxes. But the real motivation to buy, that lives deeper.
Which brings us to the internal and the philosophical problems.
Exactly. Let's use a simple example. Say, specialized accounting software for freelancers. The external problem is, I need to file my taxes.
Okay, pretty straightforward.
But the internal problem, the emotional pain, is I feel so stressed and disorganized. I'm terrified I'm going to make a mistake and get audited. I feel like an inadequate business owner.
That fear,
Yeah.
that stress, that's what drives the purchase.
That's what people pay to make go away.
That makes perfect sense. The product solves the external problem, but the desire to buy comes from wanting to eliminate that internal fear. But then there's the third level, the philosophical. That feels a bit harder to grasp.
It's the highest level of connection you can make. The philosophical problem is about why it's fundamentally wrong that the customer has to deal with this issue.
Or tapping into their sense of justice.
You are. For the accounting software, the philosophical angle might be something like, hardworking freelancers deserve simple tools that let them focus on their passion, not on decoding some arcane tax code. You're positioning your product as a stand against unfair complexity.
Wow, so if I'm connecting the dots here, businesses aren't really selling accounting software.
No.
They're selling the feeling of competence and the belief that the system should be fair. They're selling relief and transformation.
Absolutely. And when you speak to that internal pain and that philosophical belief, you dramatically increase the perceived value of what you're selling. People buy emotionally to stop the pain, and then they use logic and features to justify it later.
If you skip that internal part, you're just another commodity.
You are.
Okay, so we've clarified the problem, we've built trust, but the hero still needs to know what to do next. If you leave them confused at this stage, you just reintroduce all that friction.
Exactly right. Confusion creates fear. A clear plan creates confidence. So the guide's next job is to hand them a simple step-by-step plan.
And the sources mention 2 different kinds of plans for this.
Yes, 2 main types. The first is the process plan. This is just the practical steps. For an online course, it might be, step 1, enroll today. Step 2, watch the modules. Step 3, implement the strategy. It just makes the whole thing feel accessible, doable.
And the second plan tackles the risk, the anxiety.
That's the agreement plan. This is where you list things that reduce buyer anxiety. Things like a 30-day money-back guarantee or 24/7 support or cancel anytime. Both of these plans just simplify the path forward and make it easier to say yes.
So we have trust, we have a defined problem, we have a clear path. Now we just need to get the hero to actually take the first step, especially the one who's procrastinating.
Right. And for that, the guide has to do 2 things. First, clearly articulate the transformation.
The life after purchase.
Yes. Paint a vivid picture of what success looks like. Show them the summit, not just the trail map.
But sometimes even that isn't enough to overcome inertia, is it? People often move faster to avoid pain than to gain pleasure.
And that's where the concept of stakes comes in. To really motivate them, you also have to gently clarify the consequences of inaction. What painful thing will continue to happen if they do nothing?
So you're creating what the sources call ethical urgency.
It's ethical, not manipulative. It's just a clear, compassionate reminder of the cost of staying stuck. That duality, the vision of success and the clear stakes of failure, that's what gets the hero moving.
Okay, that is a fantastic outline of the theory, of the framework's inner workings. But let's get practical. How does this translate to a website where you have like 3 seconds to make an impression?
That's the challenge. And it's where most businesses fail. They try to be clever when they need to be clear. The sources are incredibly specific here. To work, your homepage must instantly answer 3 questions above the fold.
Before you even have to scroll.
0 scrolling. If you make them hunt, you've already lost.
Okay, 3 questions. Let's break them down. What's number 1?
Question 1, what do you offer? And this gets messed up by vague, fluffy headlines. Instead of something clear like, we build custom CRM software for small law firms, you see?
Unlock your potential.
Exactly. Meaningless. Clarity over cleverness, always. They have to get what you do, instantly.
And once they get it, the second question has to connect back to their motivation.
Question 2, how does it help me? This is where you hit that internal problem right away. If your headline is, custom CRMs for law firms, your subhead needs to be something like, stop losing track of client emails and end the daily anxiety over missed deadlines.
So you're not listing features, you're painting that picture of relief.
You're showing them their life after purchase, how you help them survive and thrive.
And the third question is the action. This is what separates a passive brochure from an active salesperson.
Question 3, what do I do next? You need a big, obvious call to action, or a CTA, a button. Don't hide it. If you don't ask for the sale, you won't get it.
And this could be a direct CTA, like buy now.
Or a transitional CTA, like download our free guide for people who aren't ready to buy yet. But whatever it is, it has to be an unmissable next step.
This connects right back to that highway analogy.
It does. Your website is a well-marked exit sign on a high-speed highway. Your visitors are moving fast, they're distracted. If that sign is cluttered or vague, they will zip right past it.
So the sign has to say what's at the exit,
The products,
how it solves their problem,
the relief,
and which lane to get into.
the CTA. Clarity is the lane marker that guides them off the highway safely.
That's great visual. Now, to make sure this message stays consistent everywhere, social media, emails, sales calls, the framework offers a tool, the StoryBrand one-liner.
Yes, this is maybe the most practical tool of all for immediate use. It simplifies your entire business explanation into a single repeatable sentence.
That's the formula.
It's a hero type struggling with problem needs solution to achieve success outcome.
Okay, that's incredibly clear. Give us an example with that formula.
Sure. Let's use a business service. A busy marketing manager struggling to consistently publish high-quality blog content uses our AI writing tool to draft perfect SEO-optimized articles in 15 minutes, freeing them up to focus on strategy.
It's all there. The hero, the pain, the solution, the transformation.
All in one sentence.
You know, this sounds like so much more than just a copywriting tweak. It feels like a whole system for communication.
That is the ultimate conclusion here. This is a system, not a tactic. It has to be applied consistently across every single channel. Your emails, your YouTube videos, your ads, even your AI follow-ups.
Because that consistency builds trust.
It's a compounding trust signal. Mixed messages force people to think harder, which creates friction, and that just grinds growth to a halt.
So if we bring this all together, the core lesson of this deep dive is you probably don't need more tools or more traffic. You need clear messaging.
The clearest business, the one that makes the customer feel seen and understood and shows them the shortest path to success, that's the one that wins. When you stop being the hero and start being the guide, you move out of the noise and into a clear, profitable space.
And that brings us to our final thought for you to consider this week. We've talked a lot about the cost of confusion, about the mental friction you might be imposing on your customers. So I want you to think about your own marketing right now. How many clicks, how many seconds of scrolling, how many complex sentences stand between your customer and that aha moment when they finally understand how you can solve their problem? What is the real-world cost of that lost clarity? Because that hesitation, that confusion, it's a silent killer of growth.
Ready to take your online business to the next level? Subscribe to our digital marketing podcast and then join our Accountability for Success Mastermind. With expert advice from industry leaders, you'll gain knowledge and insights that will help you succeed in today's digital marketing world. From social media strategies to search engine optimization, we have all the tools you need. Learn from successful entrepreneurs and take control of your online success. Join the Accountability for Success Mastermind now at bit.ly/AFSM podcast.